Let's take a look at the Robotic Automation Management Console. So I'm going to launch the console here. And the first thing I want to do is let's just jump into the Workgroup tab here. So here you can see I've got two work groups, two logical groups. I have banking and I have customer service. I have 3 robots registered in the banking group right now, but actually you'll see that they're actually shut down right now. They're not running. I also have 4 robots registered into the customer service group, and you can see that this one right here, this Win03Q, this one is actually active, registered, and actually performing work here. And in fact, when I refresh the screen, you can see that these are the different types of assignments that I have specified in the customer service group, and you can see that these are the current live counts of assignments that are waiting there for the robot to process. Mm-hmm. And you can see that the compliance or the health of each of these work baskets is good. Everything is good. So we're under capacity, and there are no assignments in any of these baskets that are over SLA. However, the same can't really be said for the banking work group here. So the banking work group is red. And the reason it's red is because we have new credit card applications that are waiting to be processed. I've actually got 15 applications waiting to be processed. I've personally set the capacity of that basket to be 10, meaning that I never want there to be more than 10 out there. So not only have we exceeded the capacity of this basket, but we've also have some assignments in there that are past service level agreement. They really should be done. So at this point, I'm actually going to spin up a few more robots here in the banking group, and we'll see those robots go to work in just 1 second. Okay, so I just fired up some more virtual machines, and so when I click this refresh button, you're going to see that they all just turned green. So they've all registered into the banking group, and you can actually see that there's actually work here now that they're going to start processing off. Okay, the other thing that I want to talk about is this dashboard here. So this dashboard is meant to give high-level or executive-level information about a number of different important pieces of information. The first being the number of automations that are in a failed state. So we talked about automations that either didn't flat out maybe did not complete, or maybe they executed but they didn't quite finish all the way. For example, maybe you couldn't find a customer ID in a database. So those automation failures show up here in this automations alert widget, and at this point I can open up any one of these work objects, inspect the data, and then, like I mentioned earlier, I have a choice to either re-queue for another robot to pick up the work, or just manually push it forward. Underneath that, I have the ability to see the number of automations that have happened over time, and I can look at that over the last 24 hours, over the last 7 days, or the last 30 days. In this case, this is a fairly fresh system here, so you can see that we started out with 34 failed automations at 8 o'clock this morning. We didn't have any at 9, and then we dropped down to 10 by 10 a.m. So as the business day has progressed, we're getting better. Fewer automations have been failing. I also have a view of case activity over time. And again, I can filter this view by the last 24 hours, the last 7 days, or the last 30 days. So again, this is plotting a trend line that shows cases created versus cases that have been resolved. So each one of those contact information changes is a case in the system. When the robot pulls the case and performs the automation and completes the automation, that's considered a case resolution. And so that's how so from the point the case is open to the point that the case is resolved, we're tracking all of those states, and you can kind of see on this line how well you're keeping up. So ideally, you want to see, you want the two plot lines to be pretty much right on top of each other. But this chart helps you identify areas or points in either your business day or your business week where perhaps you've fallen short, or the robots have fallen short. Robot status gives me a quick view into robots that are either not running or robots that are red, that need attention. And speaking of that, let's take a quick look at robots that potentially could be red here. Everything is green at the moment, but if there was a robot that was red, I could actually click into here and drill into this robot and now look at more information about that robot. So I can see the work group that it's in, the last time that we heard from the robot, and we also have a sense here of how many automations have failed since the robot came online. And one of the criteria that we use for computing the health or status of the robot is whether the number of failed assignments or automations is below the threshold that was specified. You also have an activity feed here that shows you exactly what that robot worked on. So all of the different work object IDs are here. You can see how long each work object was in queue or in the basket, the amount of time it took to process, and then of course the sum of those two values, the total time, from the point that a piece of work hit a work basket to the time that it was resolved. So you have good information in that way as well. The other thing that I can do is I can not only drill into a robot, but I can drill into a work basket. So if I look at, for example, order new card, you can see here that the compliance is red. We're past SLA, we're over capacity. Similar information that we show for a virtual machine, we show also on the basket. And again, you can see all of the different work objects that have hit this basket over time. Okay, so what do we need to do to rectify this problem here? We have a queue that's past SLA and over capacity. So remember how we talked about the prioritization early on? So I can actually move new card applications as the number1 priority work type to process. So I'm going to do is click Edit. I'm going to drag this up into the number1 slot. And when I save this, all of these robots are actually going to start honoring this new priority scheme, and they're going to start processing these new credit card applications before dispute charges and opening new accounts. And you can see actually, so as you start refreshing the screen, you can see that the number just dropped from 15 to 11, and the order new card assignment type is taking priority over everything else. Okay, so back on the dashboard here, a few more things just to discuss. We have two more widgets here. One is a list of cases past SLA. This is the same information that we saw on the work group screen. It tells you also when that SLA was hit. So here I can see that, hey, this SLA was hit 3 days ago. I really need to get some virtual machines on this work type to start processing these off, which is what I just did by reordering the priority. And I can also see a visual breakdown of all the different work types, case types that are being processed by my robot virtual machines in this application. So it's nice to see just visually which pieces of work are getting attention over others. Again, this is a nice tool that you can use to make sure that all of your work types are being serviced equally. Okay. Last screen to show here is on the robot screen. I have a list of all of the robots that are in my application, and I can sort these by not only their health but also the different work groups. So here I can look at all of my unhealthy robots, and I can click into one of them, and then it tells me in plain English on the right-hand side of the screen exactly what the problem is. So I can see the last automation exceeded expected runtime. Okay, so that is the Pega Robotic Automation Management Console in a nutshell. You've got these 3 screens: dashboard for your executives, you've got work group where you can actually visualize and manage your groups and your work baskets, and then you've got your robot screen, which lets you get a high-level overview of all of the robots, what group they're in, and what state they're in.